I joined in 2008, so I've been doing this for 15 years now. I was interested in weather because I was a New Jersey State Trooper, and during the state police training, they teach us a lot about geography, about the state, about the conditions that we're going to be facing when we get out on the road as a state trooper. I report every single day. On the days that I'm not here, there's a thing called a multi-day observation. So this gauge here will hold 1 inch of water, and the total thing will hold 12 inches of water. So it's never going to overflow. The most I've ever seen here in one day in a hurricane was 7.5 inches of rain. So when I come back, I just measure the amount of water that's in here. When this is full, I dump it out and then just pour the rest of the water into the gauge, and then I report a multi-day observation. I attended a training seminar, and they told me how to do it and how to report it, and especially how to report winter things, how to report snow. And it isn't just, it's not just how much snow fell, because I've seen snow fall, and when I measured the amount of water that's in this gauge, I can measure the amount of snow that's in this gauge. But when I measure the amount of water after that snow melts, it can range from 1/10 of an inch to an inch for the same amount of rain, depending on how much moisture is in the rain. And what I'm concerned about, and what CoCoRaHS is concerned about, is how much water is going into the ground. We live over top of the CoCoRaHS Reservoir, and all the water that falls here, if it isn't absorbed by the sun, it goes into the ground and recharges that reservoir. And that's why there are so many farms here in Hampton, because we have this large source of water underneath of us. Normally, if you watch a television weather reporter, they're going to tell you what happened at the Philadelphia airport, the Atlantic City airport, the Millville airport, and maybe Wildwood airport. They don't tell you about anything that happened anywhere else in between. And there's a lot of farms, a lot of families, a lot of homes, a lot of streams, a lot of bridges and roads that could get flooded. And CoCoRaHS does that. CoCoRaHS is everywhere in South Jersey. We don't have enough observers. We need more observers, and I'd love to have somebody else in Hamilton become an observer. But CoCoRaHS tells us what happened here in this location. The reason that's important here in Hamilton is because Hamilton is kind of like in the Garden of Eden. The Garden of Eden was supposed to be between the Tigris and Euphrates River, and in Hamilton we are between the Mullica and the Great Egg Harbor River. And water that falls on the east side of Hamilton goes into the Mullica River. Water that falls on the west side of Hamilton goes into the Great Egg Harbor River. And we have to know, the farmers in this area have to know how much water fell on their area, on their farm, and make decisions about whether they're going to irrigate.
I'm Christina Fore. I live in North Cape May. We've lived here for 7 years, and I have been a CoCoRaHS volunteer since March of 2008 in our previous home in Merchantville in Camden County. But now we're in Cape May County, and I continued down here. I took an environmental stewards program maybe 15 years ago. It was offered by Rutgers Extension Service, and it was probably 15 weeks. It was just one morning a week, but each week touched on a different environmental issue. I found it fascinating, and I wanted to get involved, and I just felt that the easiest thing for me to do every day, or the most interesting, because I always want to know how much rain did we get, was to be a CoCoRaHS volunteer. And it was new at the time. They hadn't even, they had introduced it in several other states. I think Colorado was the first state, and New Jersey was catching up. Because it only takes a couple minutes every day, and as I said, I like to know how much rain did we get, or how long has it been since we've had rain, because that's also what they're measuring is drought conditions, and where some states, some areas of some states get drought, and some get too much rain. So we're probably in a semi-drought situation now. We never quite recovered, I think, from this summer. But we'll see if we get a lot of snow this winter.